Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Gears of War 2, and this is my insane difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Act 4-5. It is entitled Best Laid Plans. So, kind of curious, this first section up here, you are going to get an ambush. In fact, Baird senses that there is an ambush coming up, and what you need to do is just run all the way straight forward towards the door that's open. It's going to close and lock on you, and then you're going to get ambushed. But the funny thing is, you don't have to participate in the in that squabble whatsoever. You can just, after the cutscene, double back, and then come this way, get yourself a checkpoint, and you don't need to fuss with the snipers, because what that is snipers on both sides, and it isn't hard at all. It's just that if you can just leave it, I don't have any problems leaving it ethically, especially when it seems so half-assed, for lack of a better word. And I don't use that term too often on my walkthrough commentaries, but that's kind of what it seems like, because I don't like things that are, in my opinion, afterthoughts. But when you do push up here, you're going to be assaulted by a Theron and a Blood Mount. And these Blood Mounts should have torque bow riders on them. So that's the highest iteration of them, so you need to be careful. The good thing is, though, is that first ground-based Theron, you can grab his torque, and then you can grab the torque of that rider. If it was a torque bow rider, you want to walk over that switch. It's going to put some cover up, but what I would do is just back off. You can use a couple of grenades over here, because there are, if you use two, okay, so I know you start out with 0 grenades at the beginning of this chapter, or even if it's just 2, you can use all of the grenades on this part that you have if it's just 2, because I'll show you where there are 2 more at the end of this lane, and also one other batch at the bottom of the elevator, excuse me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the end of the lane that I mentioned, and as you approach it, you will find a pair of frag grenades right there, and you'll also find at the very end a torque bow. So you should have quite a lot of torque bow arrows at this point, unless you've used many of them. But we are up to looks like max capacity for those torques. And then we're going to be doing a division in the path once we get down the elevator and we walk through the Blood Mount kennel. Okay, so I wanted to mention the actual split in the path. The easier path is the upstairs path. So if you do want to do the easier path, that's the one you're going to want to pick. And even if you do pick that, you're not going to miss out on any of the good weapons that you would get on the less easy path. Because these rooms all connect, and I really don't understand why this is a path at all, since either way you go, you can go to the same locations. But I am going to do the easier path first, just because it's the first one. The only thing you have to worry about on the easier path, the upstairs, is that there's just going to be this grinder on the other side. So try to get a headshot on him if you can. Suffice with body shots. Do whatever you really need to. Just get him out of the way. If you don't tend to him, he can walk down a ramp to the left and kind of sneak up on you. So it's best to take him out here without question. But the reason that I say that this is the easier path is because, also, those blood mounts come out of random doors. So it's very hard to anticipate where you need to fire. But that is it. Now, for this path here, you are definitely in the mouth of danger over here, because you will have that blood mount to deal with face to face rather than you being on top of an area where he can't do anything to you theoretically, unless the rider can shoot a torque at you. And then of course you've also got some maulers too. Possibly just, yeah, I think it's one mauler and one butcher. Then when those are gone, you're going to spawn the blood mount. Your teammates will be taking care of the grinder that we took care of on the other path. With regard to these maulers, when they put up their shield, the best thing that you could really do is just wait a few seconds until they lower their shield and then continue your assault on them. Because I've found that the more I try to shoot around their cover, the less I get done, the more they advance, and the more other things that are happening extraneously are getting out of hand for me. So this guy's got a torque. We'll pick that up in a minute. But it looks at this point like the teammates have not finished off that grinder, so we might have to actually finish him off. And I said he goes down a ramp, and let's see if he can be met on the ramp over here. He's right over here, so be careful. Your teammates, for whatever reason, they just don't do a good enough job of killing this fucking bastard. So use some good blind fire here if you have to. Throw a frag, whatever you need to. Just wait till he gives you an opportunity by his gun jamming or overheating, and then just rip him up. Okay, and then I also wanted to show a location that you initially get locked out of at the beginning of the second path, the harder path, but once the fight's over, you can come down here, and that's the weapon that you may have seen that got teased to you earlier. Okay, so then what we're going to do now is we're going to be going looting. So do all of your looting, and then we will progress up to these doors that are going to open. And then there are two weapon caches out here. So if you're low on torques, this is a good idea to see if you can get some more torques. I've got a ×4 torque before for a pickup, and I do believe that that's the most you can get for a pickup. I've never seen a ×5 pickup. But when you get to the stairs, you must realize that you need to get through the entire chapter from the top of the stairs without any checkpoints. And what it is you're going down a long curving staircase around the temple, and you're going to inevitably get to a room that has a lot of enemies, a lot of dangerous enemies in it. And it's only until you kill those that last pack of enemies in that room that you get the bleed out screen, and it takes you to the next chapter, and you get your checkpoint for 4-6. So this is basically a masterclass in using the third-person cover trick and not being impatient, because if you get impatient, what can happen is that you can unknowingly cross a tripwire point and have spawned some Therons with torques and shotguns, and they'll be pretty aggressive. They'll come right up to you. So you want to go up a little ways, anticipate where the tripwires are. It's hard to know where they are, but once you do go up a little ways, you want to do a 360 back the way you came, just for safety. And if you didn't spawn the enemies, no big deal. At least you're not dead. And this is a long sequence, and it's quite difficult too. And you want to favor the left side of the room. The reason being is because you're more vulnerable on the right side, by far. And unfortunately, your teammates do everything they can to get in your goddamn way. They love to throw grenades that end in your death. They love to hog cover. And I am premiering the Boltok here. The Boltok is not something that I care for usually. However, I did want to use it and just let you know that the active reload for this weapon does not give you a damage boost, but it increases the fire rate of this weapon, which is normally slow, and it gives you a faster firing rate. But that's not really going to help too much if enemies are coming at you. You really need to get far back and put your foot down with the Lancer and the Torque. But did you see the snub and the Boltok are quite good, even the Gorgon pistol, because the narrower reticle that you have, the more chance that you'll be able to hit the window within the window as far as the hit area that is their head. So if you do pierce the small window inside their head, you can pop their heads. And of course, it's all having to do with having a narrow reticle. That's why the long shot invariably... You see that? He was about to melee me or something, or cut me up, and I just walked back a little bit, scared to death. But anyway, that's what I was saying. The long shot, any part of the head will get that thing popped because it has such a narrow reticle. So what has narrow reticles? The snub, obviously, that I mentioned, the Boltok, the Gorgon pistol, the hammer bursts zoom in feature, not the default hammer burst reticle, but if you click in and zoom in, that will give you a smaller and narrower reticle, and that will be able to pop heads more easily. One mistake that you can get into down here is rushing headlong into this room, which in my opinion is just utter suicide, because I've come all the way up here, like to right here, and had a guy just walk out and chainsaw me. So you got to be really, really careful. And the enemies have great placement in this room, and you have shit placement. And of course, if teammates fall in here, you're going to be in big trouble. Now, it is good that we're with 3 teammates. So if one of our teammates falls, the other 2 can potentially pick him up. But there's been many occasions, at least in my experience, where the other 2 teammates were indisposed somehow, and I had to go save the downed person and give him a revive. So what I would do is just stay out of this room. There is a Cantus in this room, and the real bad thing too is that once you get into that room, they're shooting at you from the left and right. You're completely pincered, and then you've got that fucking bastard with his potential poison gas and his tickers. So I would just stay out here, do what you need to save your teammates, shoot everybody that you possibly can in the quickest manner, focus on the nearest guys to you first, and then once everybody is dead, you see, the thing is, you never have to go into this room. As long as you kill everybody, it's good. And it'll have the bleed out screen, and then you'll be in the next chapter. So it is a fun section, but this is not quite fun at all because you die so easily. So for 4-5, this has been Vic Benedict, and I really hope that the walkthrough is helping you, and I will see you in the final chapter of Act 4 presently. And until then, please continue to take care.